biggest issues that I see the NHS experiencing, certainly in the short term, firstly is an ageing population, with all of the problems that that's going to create. And then you've got limited real terms budgets. The budgets in real terms are getting smaller. So how do you deal with a issue of people that are going to expect higher standards of care, people that are clearly living longer? As part of that process of living longer, they are suffering with very specific diseases, things like diabetes. And how do you then deliver that quality of service to the patients without actually having increased budget? And I think really this is where companies are going to have to adapt their technology in order to help the NHS to do more with less. So how do you use technology to be able to provide that increased level of service? And that's going to be that's a tough job, right? That's a tough square to circle. And the only way I see the NHS being able to do it is in collaboration with the private sector or with private providers, and helping the NHS to be able to adopt technology quickly. What you need to do is think through the question, because if you're saying to me, is the quality of data good enough to, example, diagnose diabetes in the eye? Well, yes, it is, because the requirement is quite low. You basically need a fundus camera image, and AI can look at that image as well, if not better than a human being, and diagnose. So in answer to your question, if it is, are you looking for just low-level diagnostics? Yes. However, then you need to think about, well, actually, how is AI going to be used? And if you think of areas like precision medicine, in other words, how do you target specific drugs against specific diseases? Well, then the question becomes much more difficult to answer. And what I mean by that is, if you think about the data that you're going to need in order to be able to provide high quality clinical feedback to the clinicians using AI, well, then you've got to check, do you have access to the data? Do you have authority to access the data? Is the data all in one place? Is it structured? Is it unstructured? Does it carry any bias? There are so many factors that you need to think about. So the simple answer I would give you is the quality of data ready for today, for wider treatment of patients? I'd say no. But could you start early and start driving some quick wins with AI, with simple diagnostic tools? Absolutely yes. So again, it depends on how you answer the question in terms of what the response really needs to be to that question. Is the NHS ready for GDPR? Based upon the feedback I've seen, probably not. The last report I saw in December said that a little over 50% of NHS trusts had a plan in place to deal with GDPR. That means nearly 50% don't have a plan in place. So based upon the evidence, I would probably say it's going to be tough, right? However, you need to think of it this way. If you're not, you can be fined 4% of your gross turnover as a trust, or 20 million euros. That tends to focus the mind, so I suspect they will get ready. But from the evidence I'm seeing at the moment, I still think there's some work to do. The good news is, however, there's a lot of great businesses out there that are supporting and are helping trusts to get GDPR ready. So I think they will get there. But as I say, the evidence as it stands today, still questionable. Wow, I think there's going to be loads. Clearly AI. And when I say AI, I think in 3 years, you're going to see AI for diagnostics. So the ability, for example, to take a CT image of the brain and to immediately state what type of, is the patient having a stroke or not. So these kind of low-level if that's the right term, but this kind of immediate diagnostic capability, AI is going to drive that. But also you're going to see a ton of other things like robotics in the operating theatre, wearables for the patient. I think we're living in an incredibly exciting time. I think you're going to see technology really start to embed itself in the culture of healthcare delivery. And then when you look at who are going to deliver that, if you look at where the market's going, you've now got, Microsoft, IBM, etc., entered healthcare perhaps a little while ago. You've now got Facebook, you've now got Apple, you've now got Amazon. All of these guys are all getting into healthcare. So I guess the answer to your question, there's a ton of stuff going to happen. I think really it's going to be about who are going to be the people that deliver that to the market. But it's an exciting time. It's a really exciting time in healthcare. Hyland Healthcare, a pretty unique business, in as far as we have the capability to capture, manage, store and deliver any data type. The business is made up of a number of different core technologies around vendor-neutral archiving, around advanced visualization and viewing, but also around our electronic content management tools. And what that means is that uniquely we can get to all the data, we can store all the data, we can structure and manage all the data, and we can present that data back to a clinician through a single pane of glass. So it doesn't matter whether it's on his iPhone, whether it's on his iPad, whether he's working from a PC, he can have access to all that data, but further than that, he can actually work with that data because our advanced visualization tools allow them to be able to analyze and review things like MR, CT, nuclear medicine images across multiple different disciplines. The other great thing about the technology, we've embedded it very, very tightly with the electronic patient record. So in a lot of cases, the customer doesn't even know that he's inside Hyland, for example, when he's working inside Epic. So he could be inside Epic, accessing all of that patient data, but it's us, it's Hyland delivering that data. The great thing is, obviously for a clinician, that means he has access to all of the data through a single pane of glass, and that means that he can diagnose more efficiently and more quickly. It's a great environment and it's a great opportunity to get in front of CIOs, CCIOs, senior clinicians, thought leaders in the marketplace. It gives us the capability to have grown-up conversations with these people in an environment where they feel confident and comfortable. The quality of the presentations is fantastically high. So we have the ability as outsiders to be able to come in and learn what's going on in healthcare. And the social element gives us the capability to be able to have those offline conversations, the type of conversations which sometimes you can't have stood in front of a trade stand. So, over a glass of wine, you can have a conversation with the CCIO to really understand what his pain points are, what's driving him. And HIMSS is one of the unique organisations that gives us that capability.